So today we're going to be talking about 10 players I think could be traded this offseason. We got winter meetings starting next week. We've already had Moustakas and Grandal off the free agency market. We've had some names become free agents that we didn't think would, like Blake Trinan, and I feel like we're in store for a very good offseason. And I feel like we could see some big trades, some big names being traded, and I feel like we're going to have a really good offseason, and I'm for it. So if you guys enjoy these videos and you want to see some more of them, hit the like button down below. That's the easiest way for me to know that you do enjoy them. In the comment section, let me know what you guys thought about today's video and other names that you think could be traded this offseason, or if your team think your team should be going after one of these players that I mentioned, let me know. And then also, if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. There's a little bell icon next to the subscribe button. Make sure you click that and make sure all notifications are clicked so you're notified whenever a video does go live. My most recent video is going to be top right hand corner. Go and give it a watch if you missed it. And in the description, there's going to be all my social media links. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that good stuff is there. That's going to wrap up the intro. Let's hop into this video, and we're going to start with a pitcher, the Baltimore Orioles closer, Mychal Givens. I initially had Blake Trinan on this list, but obviously he's a free agent now and can't be traded. So we went with Mychal Givens because he's been a player that's been mentioned for the last couple seasons to potentially be traded. And when you look at a player in 2017 have a 2.75 ERA and a WHIP at 1.04, what happened? Last season he had a 4.57 ERA and a 1.19 WHIP. The WHIP is not bad, but the ERA has jumped up almost 2 full points since then. I don't understand what's going on. Is he losing, just confidence? Obviously, Baltimore is not a pitcher-friendly park, but maybe it's time for a change of scenery for Mychal Givens. I think a team like the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Nationals, the Phillies, even the Mets, a team that's looking for bullpen help that wouldn't require too much to make this trade happen. Why not take the low risk option and just give them a shot? We're gonna stick with relievers. We're gonna talk about the Pirates reliever Kela, who last year was linked with the Dodgers, and I still think the Dodgers could be interested with him because you're looking at a 3.26. Nope, that's not right. A 3.23 ERA for his career and a WHIP at 1.11. Previous season, he's been very consistent. There have been some rumors that he's like a clubhouse issue, but there really hasn't been too much that has come out about that. So I feel like maybe it's just like one or two things that have come up and maybe a disagreement. But you're looking at 1 year, he's got a $3.4 million contract. Could you sign him to an extension once you bring him in? And I feel like he really wouldn't require too much to get this deal done. He's a very consistent 8th, 9th, 7th inning guy. And I feel like a team like the Dodgers, like I've already mentioned, maybe the Nationals take a shot with him. And I feel like if you get him in your bullpen, that already makes it a lot better, takes some stress off the other arms. And I feel like Kela is not a bad option. So let's talk about catchers now. And the market for catchers, it's not too big, but I feel like there's, a couple teams that could use them. The Rays are definitely one of them. And one of those names that they could go after is Omar Narvaez, who the Mariners have said that they're going to start listing offers for. He's in his last year of arbitration, I think, this season. His contract last year was about 2.9, so he's definitely a really friendly contract. Really good at the dish with his bat. Last year hit 278 with an 813 OPS and 22 home runs and 55 RBIs. And the Rays are lacking that offensive catcher, and I feel like they have the farm system to make these trades. There have been some questions about his abilities behind the dish as a catcher, but good offensively, decent behind the dish as a catcher as well. So why not take the chance? The Rays definitely have the farm system to make this trade. They also do have a couple MLB players that they could look to move. The Mariners are in the market for some pitching. The Rays do have some extra pitchers that they could move. The Rangers, another team that could be in the market for a catcher. They don't really have a true catcher. They have Jeff Mathis, but come on. I feel like Narvaez is definitely a step up. It is within the division, and so is the other team, the Astros. But with Chirinos hitting free agency, the Astros have some MLB ready talent along with the decent farm system. They could be in the market for a catcher as well. So Narvaez, really good offensively. Some questions about his defense, but I still think he's a pretty good catcher to pick up. Let's continue with catchers, and it's looking like the Cubs are listening to offers for a couple players. One of those players is going to be Willson Contreras. There have been some questions about injuries the last couple seasons, but when healthy, he is an all-star, one of the best catchers in the game. Offensively, last year, 24 home runs, 64 RBIs, a 272 average, and an 888 OPS. He has power, 20 plus home runs. He can bring in runs. He's great behind the dish defensively as well. And I feel like he's still a young catcher. He's got 2-3 years left of team control. The thing with the Cubs is they have Victor Caratini, who they think could be their #1 catcher going forward. It's a lot cheaper. He's a switch hitter as well. So Wilson Contreras could be expendable at this point. Again, the Rays have the farm system that they could offer the Cubs. The Cubs have a terrible farm system. Terrible. They're lacking pitching depth. I feel like the Rays could offer that. Same with the Astros, another team who could offer the Cubs something that they don't really have in some prospects. So I think Wilson Contreras would require a little bit more than Narvaez just because he's a more complete catcher. But again, you know, the Rays and the Astros, I feel like could be a good option for them. Let's move to the outfield, and a name that's been thrown out by the Pirates is Starling Marte, just because they kind of do have a young core now, and I feel like they could move Brian Reynolds to center field. Starling Marte is looking like he's expendable, and there's a lot of teams who could use a true center fielder. Trading within the division to the Cubs, probably not likely. The Mets could really use Starling Marte, and when you talk about Starling Marte, last couple seasons, let's just talk about last year, 295 average, OPS at 845, 23 home runs, 82 RBIs. He's a solid bat, and there's a lot of teams that are missing that in center field, especially the Mets. They don't really have a true center fielder. Nimmo and Conforto is not the guy. They're better in the corners. Put Starling Marte out there, you have a phenomenal center field. He's great. He's a great fielder as well. Not as good as he used to be, but he's still really solid. And, you know, with a contract, I think he's got 1 or 2 more years left on his deal. No, he actually just signed a contract extension. So he's got, what, 11-12 million on his deal per year. It's not a terrible contract. He's still got a few years left in the tank for sure. And I feel like the Pirates should cash in on him while they can. And I feel like a lot of teams could use that. Like I've mentioned, the Cubs, the Mets are definitely a possibility as well. If you really wanted to, maybe even the Braves. You know, with Markakis, he can't forever be that like fountain of youth that he is, never missing a game. In Ciarte, there's been some questions. You got Austin Riley, who's had some questions about his ability to hit the ball lately. I feel like there's a lot of teams in the market for a good center fielder. Starling Marte is that option. So this one's kind of my shot in the dark. This one's kind of my like crazy option, but hear me out. The Rockies are kind of in a weird spot. They're not really getting better. They're kind of getting worse, and I feel like at this point they really need to start making some changes, and Charlie Blackmon could be a really good trade piece. His contract though is kind of his big issue, and also he's not the best of fielders, but when you look at him at the plate, 940 OPS, he hit 314 last year, he had 32 home runs and 86 RBIs. The year before was 29 and 70. I feel like if you put him in a little bit better park that isn't so difficult to field in like Coors, you put him in a little bit smaller outfield, I feel like you'll get a lot better fielding out of him, and also you can use him. He's a great lefty bat, and teams need a good lefty bat. A crazy option here, the Chicago White Sox. They need a lefty bat, they need a corner outfielder. Charlie Blackmon checks those things off. You could look at a team like the Phillies, who are, you know, maybe stick Charlie Blackmon in left. I don't think Charlie Blackmon's a DH just yet, and I feel like if you can find a team to take on his contract for the next couple years where it's 20 million plus, I think the last year of his deal is 12, and I know he does have a player option to opt out for the last 2 years of his deal, but there are some teams who could use that lefty power, and Charlie Blackmon still has it in the tank. Why not take a shot like the White Sox? I think that would be a great option for him. We're going to go back to the Cubs. We're going to be talking about third baseman Kris Bryant having some off the field issues with major league service time, where he might hit free agency a little bit sooner than was expected. And there's also been some questions about injuries with the knee and the shoulder, but when healthy, he's an all-star. He's a great defensive third baseman. I wouldn't say great, actually. I would say above average, but again, when healthy, he's really good at the plate. Last year, 31 home runs, 77 RBIs, and an OPS at 903. The year before, definitely dealt with some injury issues, so his numbers were down. But the year before that, in 2017, you're looking at 29 home runs and 73 RBIs with a 946 OPS. So again, when healthy, great at the dish, above average fielder, has shown versatility, played third, first, and the corner outfield spots. So he's a really good player. I think it's 18 million for this year, and then he might hit free agency if that legal issue gets solved. But again, he's versatile. He's a solid, very solid player. And there's a lot of teams in the market for a third baseman right now. You're looking at the Phillies, the Rangers, the Nationals, a team like the Angels as well, the Braves. There's a lot of teams in the market for a third baseman. I think most likely, if the team does make the move, maybe the Angels, maybe the Braves. Austin Riley can play third base, but again, he's had some inconsistencies at the plate. Would the Braves make a move for him? The Phillies need a third baseman. They let Franco go. They don't really have anybody else. Alec Baum's not ready just yet. The Rangers, I don't think the Rangers could be in the market yet. I think they're more looking at free agency. They don't really have the trade pieces available. The Nationals, I know they have some prospects. I know the Braves have prospects. I know the Phillies have prospects. They also have Gene Segura if the Cubs are willing to take him. And you know, there's definitely a market for Kris Bryant. I just feel like the Cubs are going to really want something in return for him. Let's talk about Mookie Betts. And I feel like the Red Sox really need to make a trade ASAP if they are going to trade Mookie Betts. 1 year left on his deal. So if the team does trade for him, can they get him signed to an extension? Or is it going to be like, hey, we need to win and then I'll sign the extension? But the Red Sox need to make the trade for Mookie if they're going to do it, because the longer they wait, the less they're going to get in return. The thing with Mookie Betts is he is amazing at everything he does. One of the best fielding right fielders, and at the plate offers so much. Last year hit just under 300, 918 OPS, 915 OPS, sorry, and 29 home runs and 80 RBIs. Can do it all. Great fielding. He is one of the best, if not the best right fielder in baseball, and I feel like the Red Sox really need something in return. I feel like they're going to be going crazy with prospects. They really need to kind of improve that farm system, and I feel like Mookie Betts can definitely do that. A team like the White Sox could offer someone. Red Sox do need a second baseman. They could look at possibly getting Madrigal from the White Sox, maybe another couple prospects as well. Maybe a team, I'm trying to think, maybe a team like the Braves. The Braves could even be in the market for him, just because, you know, Inciarte's kind of had some injury issues a little bit. Austin Riley hasn't shown that he can hit in an MLB level. Markakis is aging. I know he's been very, very healthy, very, very durable, and very consistent. But as he ages, you know, you're not going to get the same production out of him. So maybe the Braves could be in the market for a new outfielder as well. So there's a market for Mookie Betts, maybe even the Dodgers. But I feel like the Red Sox, if they're going to make the trade, they need to make it sooner rather than later so they can get some more in return. So apparently the Brewers are having a clear out, which I don't understand, because they're a playoff team. Why not improve on what you already have rather than starting with a clean slate? So the thing is, apparently they want to listen to offers for Hader. There have been some issues with injuries. There's also been some issues with home runs. So maybe hitters are starting to figure him out. But as a lefty and one of the most dominant lefties in baseball in the last couple seasons, you know, I feel like there's a lot of teams that could still really use Josh Hader. Been very good. His whip has been under 1 every single year that he's pitched, which is phenomenal. He's a two-pitch pitcher, which does kind of limit him, and maybe teams are really starting to figure out what he can do. But as an 8th and 9th inning guy, there are plenty of teams that need that. The Red Sox are in the market for one. The Dodgers could really use one as well. Trading within the division to the Cubs, I don't think the Cubs have any prospects that the Brewers would want, or MLB ready players that the Brewers would want, but there's a lot of teams that could use Hader. The Nationals, the Mets, there's so many teams that could use a good lefty reliever. The thing is, our team's starting to catch on to Hader, and maybe they don't want to trade for him. Who knows? But I think Hader does have a little bit of a market. And I think, if anything, maybe the Red Sox could really pull the plug and get that trade done. So talking about teams that need to make the trade sooner rather than later, and that's the Indians. Francisco Lindor has already been mentioned as a player that the Indians can't afford to re-sign, which I don't really understand, because he is the best shortstop in baseball. 5-tool player with speed, great fielding, amazing fielding actually, and power, which is crazy to think about because he's a switch hitter with power as well. Last year hit 32 home runs, 74 RBIs, a 284 average with a 854 OPS. He can do it all, and I think the Indians need to make the trade sooner rather than later. This year I think he's making just above 15 million, and he's got arbitration next year. I think that's the case with his contract, but there's a lot of teams that could use him. I feel like you're gonna need to trade a lot if you are gonna get him. So a team like the Yankees, who do have the prospects, Clint Frazier, Tyler Wade, Miguel Andujar, maybe even Davy Garcia. I know that's crazy to think of your number 1 prospect, but if you want Lindor, you're gonna have to pay a pretty price. The Dodgers have a crazy farm system, along with potentially trying to move Corey Seager as well. Maybe a team like the Phillies, they're trying to move on from Gene Segura, like I've mentioned a couple other times. So there's teams who could use this shortstop. It's just they're going to have to pay a pretty penny for him, especially with him being the best shortstop in baseball. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up today's video. Those are the 10 players I think are going to be traded this offseason. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Who do you think are some of the teams that could be, in the mix that I didn't mention? I think that we're gonna get some trades this offseason. Are they gonna be as big as the players that I mentioned? Probably not, but we're just here having some fun with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, thumbs up down below, subscribe if you're new to the channel and enjoyed the content, and as always in the comment section, let me know future videos you would like to see. Other than that, guys, there's gonna be 2 videos on screen now. One is gonna be my most recent video, and the other one is going to be one that YouTube suggests for you guys. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.